I can remember most of it like it was yesterday.
3 people were on board the plane, including Joe Zagacki, the sports producer from WIOD. The 2 other men on board the plane died. The airplane was so loaded with supplies, it got only a couple of blocks from North Perry Airport before plunging into this house.
What I really remember was the lack of control. That experience, yeah, it changes the course of your life.
He's at the 15, 10, Frank Gore, touchdown! Miami wins! Throws it deep down the field, 4-yard set, he's got it! Touchdown! A moment of magic!
It's an honor to call the games. It's a big thrill for me. It's one that I really embrace and one I will not take for granted.
Kick is up, and it's going to be no good! No good! It's wide left! It's wide left! Miami wins!
Well, I was born and raised in North Miami, and I would hear the games on the radio. Maybe I was 5 or 6 years old, and I just thought the sound was really unique.
Duke Johnson will go all the way! Touchdown, Miami! 54 yards for the freshman!
I think it meant everything, because it was the one job that I was striving to have. My first year was as pre-game and post-game host. Then I became the sideline reporter, and then I became the color commentator, and then I became the voice of the Hurricane. So I did all the jobs, but I started in 1983, which was a pretty good year because they won the national championship.
In August of 1992, 9 years into Joe's career covering Miami, a far larger hurricane, a storm named Andrew, would set off a chain of events that would change his life forever.
People were in shock at what they saw. It was devastation. The news was on 24 hours a day, and Cheryl saw a story about migrant farm workers in Homestead. And they didn't have any food, they didn't have any baby supplies.
So we basically decided we would bring supplies down to the Homestead Airport. And what we would do is we would ferry the supplies down in a plane to the Homestead Airport, and then from Homestead they would be distributed to Central Campesino.
This is absolutely amazing, but Cheryl Zagacki has been spearheading what we're trying to put together, an airlift. Donations for Central Campesino can be brought to North Perry Airport at the north entrance in Pembroke Pines from 7 until 9 tomorrow.
On the morning of Thursday, August 27th, the Zagackis' call for aid was answered, leaving their hangar overflowing with supplies. Within hours, a fleet of 7 planes was loaded and ready for departure.
Cheryl was going to go down there. She was in the first plane, and I wasn't feeling great about getting on the plane. Somebody suggested, well, you should go. The both of you should be down there. And I said, well, that one over there, that plane, the last one, that's the biggest plane. I'll go on that one.
The one bigger plane that Joe was in, unfortunately the pilot who was flying it didn't keep a good handle on how much was going in the plane or weighing anything to keep the weight and balance of the aircraft so that it could actually fly safely.
The plane Joe had chosen was piloted by a Romanian immigrant named John Stoyan, who had offered to carry another volunteer named Harold Kern.
So when I walked back to the plane, I thought, well, I'm going to go on this plane. I might as well be the co-pilot, see what this is like. And then Mr. Kern came over to the side of the plane and he said, you go sit in the back. He said, I can help, just in case I can help. I have got a pilot's license. So I went to the back and I looked around and I said, but there aren't any seats back here. And everybody took the seats out. And he said, well, you can sit on the bag of rice back there. So I did, I sat on a bag of rice. And then we took off. We're going down the runway, and I'm not really sure how long the runway strip is, but I feel like we're not going as fast as we should, that we're not getting up. It just felt like something was pushing us down. And for a brief moment, when it got up, I think I was holding on kind of like this. And I was holding on and kind of looking around and listening into what they were saying. And as it got up for a brief moment, I thought, we're gonna make it. And then it really started to move. I could see John Stowian, could see Stowian with the controls, or kind of battling it, kind of fighting it, trying to get this thing off the ground and flying it. We were flying, I have no idea how high we are. I can't really see out the window, and I'm kind of looking around, not really sure what is going to happen or what to do. I guess after just a couple of seconds, they became resigned to the fact that we weren't going to make it. I remember exactly what they said. They said, "Oh, blank, we're going to die." And so when they said that, I jumped, or just went on the floor and covered myself up like this the best I could. I got into a ball, covered myself up, closed my eyes, and I can remember thinking that this is it. I'm 30 years old, and that's it. My wife is in Homestead, and my parents are on the runway, and that's it. And then I heard a loud crash, like, imagine 10 cars crashing together. I heard a loud crash, and after I heard the loud crash, nothing.
We are in Miramar near North Perry Airport. The airplane went down over here. Follow me. We're on top of a roof. The police won't let us get any closer. You can see the plane over there sticking out of that roof over there.
The next thing I remember is laying someplace, and I was like this. My head was down, and then I thought, well, I made it, and then I started to do inventory of my injuries. My leg was in pretty bad shape. I thought for sure I'd lose my foot. At that point, I just kind of resigned myself to someone else is going to have to come get us. Well, when it crashed, it hit one house, bounced off of that house and flipped over, and went through the second house and went through the roof. When it broke in half, it created a big crater in the roof. I went through with all the supplies. I'm not sure if I processed that I was in a house covered in jet fuel, and that either A, the house was going to come down on top of me, or B, we could blow up.
Of the three aboard the plane, Joe was the only survivor.
They get me out on a stretcher, put me into the ambulance. I remember telling them, make sure you tell my family I'm okay, because my dad, I didn't want him to have a heart attack.
I took off first, and then I got down to Homestead, and his plane didn't show up.
Amazingly, none of Joe's injuries proved life-threatening. In addition to his broken leg, Zagacki also suffered a collapsed lung, skull fractures around his right eye, and numerous broken ribs. Despite his injuries, Joe returned home within a week. Earlier this summer, for the first time since the day of the crash, Joe and Cheryl returned to North Perry Airport.
It's a little eerie, actually, because I don't think I've been back here in 20 years. We came down the runway south and took off this way toward this neighborhood over here. Unfortunately, there were people over there watching, because they had come to help, including my mother and father. My mom and dad were on the runway, and they watched it. My mom and dad watched it go down. My mom and dad were right around here. So that's when I walked out to the plane, and then I walked back to them. And then I kind of walked out to the plane this way, kind of backwards. So I didn't really want to get on that plane. We're in Pembroke Pines, so we are going to Miramar,
Which is across the street. What was the house number, Joe?
1901. So, yeah, that's the house. No,
that one.
That's the house. You see the edge of the airport, so we must have come right over the top of those homes right there and hit that house, the green and white house, and caromed into that house. I'm not sure if I'm absorbing all of it now, because we came by, we never gotten out of the car, we never stood here. And I don't know that I really want to go back and think of what the alternative was standing here.
Recovering from such a traumatic event has proven a lifelong task. But from the very beginning, Joe's seat behind the mic has helped aid in his healing.
The opening game was Iowa, which I wasn't going to make. We were going to watch the game. I'd never missed a game. And we were sitting on the couch, about ready to kick off, and the phone rings, and it was the radio station. And they said, we've got Sonny Hirsch on the other end. He wants you to call the opening kickoff. I did, from the couch.
Joe, watch the football game. Give us the kickoff of the contest.
All right, Sonny. Dane Pruitt puts his leg into it, kicks it high, and kicks it to the goal line.
Next game, Miami played Florida A&M in the Orange Bowl, and yeah, I did the next game. Cheryl went to the game. She made a big banner, and I did the game in shorts, pair of shorts, and wedged myself into the Orange Bowl, and I still had broken ribs. All right, here we go, game day.
After the 1992 football season, amidst the fallout from the crash, Joe chose to step away from the booth. But 6 years later, he opted to return to his truest passion, covering the Canes on the radio. He's been doing it ever since.
Whether it's football or basketball or baseball, what I think about right now is how lucky I am.
I think it makes you more appreciative of what you have. And I think my husband, for the most part, is a pretty resilient guy, thinking that, well, if we can get through that, we can pretty much get through anything.
I always take that time to look around and think about that I'm pretty lucky. The good side of the crash is you can always come back to that, and I am thankful every day that I have that opportunity.